In our astrological birth chart, Chiron represents the wounds in which we heal in others, but not within ourselves. And so really understanding your Chiron placement helps you understand what some of your worthiness blockages may be. So in this video today specifically, I want to share everything that you need to know about having your Chiron specifically in the sign of Virgo so that you can overcome unworthiness, wounds, and live an empowered life. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Isabella, your spiritual rebel friend, and today we are talking about what it means to have your Chiron in the sign of Virgo. In today's video specifically, I'm going to cover Chiron as a general overview, the Virgo Archetype Explained, Chiron in Virgo Explained, Chiron in Virgo briefly through all the houses in your chart, and how to apply this knowledge. So if you are someone who not only wants to take in the information of astrology, but know how to apply it to your life, watch through to the end of this video where I'm going to share some of my top tips for working through Chironic wounds. Before we get any further, be sure to book a reading down in the link in the description below, where in 1 hour words, we can dive deep into any and everything about your chart, whether that's your Chiron return, different aspects of your chart, transits, how your astrology applies to your love life, and so much more. As I always say, sky is the limit with these readings. So learn more information about readings down in the link in the description below. And if you're more of the self-learner type who prefers to do things on their own, check out my astrology course as well as my astrology workbooks down in the links in the description box below. So I recently have felt called to talk more about Chiron because I've recently had a lot of clients who have been having their Chiron return with their Chiron in Aries. And more Chiron has come up in conversations for people in regards to either money blockages or even simply blockages in living the life that they are loving, whether that's looking for love life or just feeling good about their existence. Chiron has become more and more of a topic in my one-on-one readings. And so I've been trying to get through this series talking about Chiron through the signs. So to start off today's video and understand why Chiron plays such a big role for so many, I'm going to bring back an old video talking about what it means to just Chiron in general, specifically. And then we'll get into the Virgo archetype and what it means to have your Chiron specifically in Virgo. So first and foremost, what is Chiron? Chiron is not a planet, it is an asteroid that we can find in our birth chart. And it'll look like a circle with a K on it, or how I see it, it's a key, which is the key to healing. Chiron is known as the wounded healer. And what it represents, simply put, is the wounds that we heal in others, but don't heal in ourselves. You can imagine with the story of Chiron, this idea of almost a medic on a battlefield who is going around tending to others' wounds while they're at the same time have their own wounds that are causing them to bleed out, but they're not taking care of it. And so whatever sign Chiron is in our chart, represents that wound we go about healing in others and tending to, but we are not healing within ourselves. The sign that your Chiron is in specifically tells you what archetype you have wounds associated with. So for example, if someone's Chiron was in Cancer, maybe they feel wounds associated with being nurtured. However, they seem to be the most nurturing people you know. So Chiron, at its root in many ways, this idea of having this wound that we heal in others but not ourselves has a lot to do with worthiness. It tells us what we feel we are unworthy of giving ourselves, and yet at the same time we tell everyone else that they are worthy of. So working through your Chiron, understanding the sign your Chiron is in, as well as the house, tells you what the wounds are that you heal in others but not in yourself, and can also tell you what worthiness blockages may keep you limited. By not healing your Chiron, this could play out as feeling an emotional sense of woundedness. This could cause projecting our emotions onto others. This can cause us, simply put, because we're not feeling worthy, to become a blocker for our manifestations. So if you feel like there's certain manifestations that you've been working towards that haven't been coming through, it is possible it's because your Chiron wound that is causing unworthiness has not been fully healed. But given that it is something we heal in others, in many ways, Chiron can be a gift to the world. It is something that you can help others heal, truly. But we can only do so and truly do our best healing work when, of course, we heal that within ourselves. After all, a medic bleeding out on the battlefield trying to tend to others' wounds is eventually going to find that they have to take care of themselves in order to continue to heal others. So now that you understand a bit about Chiron, what is the Virgo archetype truly? Virgo represents this phase that we all go through in our evolution where we hit the point of self-fulfillment enough to ask ourselves, what is the value of giving to others? And so hence why one of the most common traits or stereotypes about Virgo is their selfless nature. Virgo's role in the zodiac wheel is to experiment with the idea of giving to others and the value this brings to ourselves. And so hence why from my memory, I'm pretty sure that the mantra, so to say, associated with the Virgo archetype is I serve or I give. That is the question of Virgos. They are the second earth sign of the zodiac wheel. And so they represent this immersion in the material reality that comes through being detail-oriented. They are also ruled by Mercury, and this accentuates their detail-oriented nature. So Virgos are known for being practical, selfless, humble, detail-oriented, and analytical to some degree, in the sense that they really do focus on the little things. This is why there's also the stereotype of Virgos being nitpicky or extremely cleanly, because they have an observation of the details. The core nature, though, that this Virgo archetype is getting at is being so incredibly mentally observant of the details of their physical reality as an earth sign so that they can best serve the world around them and serve those around them for the sake of self-fulfillment. And so Virgo, in the end, really represents this idea of selflessness, giving, humility, practicality, and observation of the world around them. Extremely detail-oriented, extremely observant, picks up on the most minute details, and fully immersed in the world around them. These are the people who love and crave routines and consistency in their lives. So given that this Virgo archetype has all these themes present, practicality, selflessness, detail orientation, materialism, how does this specifically play out in the placement of Chiron? With Chiron being in the sign of Virgo, this is likely someone who feels a sense of woundedness or unworthiness of stability in their lives. And again, I will hopefully remember to put dates over the screen for when Chiron was in Virgo. If you were born between these time slots, you have your Chiron in Virgo. If you're on the cusp dates, you might want to double check by pulling your chart or just Googling for specifics on Find My Chiron Sign online. But point being, with a Chiron in Virgo, this is an interesting dynamic because Virgo is a very misconstrued, I think is the word I'm looking for, misunderstood, we'll say, archetype in the modern day world. In a sense, Virgo is very much overused. We're valued for our effort, not our expertise. We're encouraged to live routine lives. We focus on overall more of the material side of things, such as meal prep and going to the gym, more so than the spiritual aspect of what we need emotionally as people. We're very much immersed in the material reality, and filling our schedules is something most people feel the need that they have to do. So the Virgo archetype, you would think, is something that is hard to have a sense of, in a way, woundedness around, considering how already misunderstood it is. But for those who have a Chiron in Virgo, they feel, as I think my understanding is, they can't have a sense of stability or routine in their lives. These are the people who feel that maybe in early age, having order was not valued, and to want something simple in their lives, to want a simple life, to have a simple life is not necessarily rewarded or not necessarily needed. And so these people are likely, I would guess, those who encourage others to simplify their lives, who say, you deserve to, give yourself the routines, take care of yourself, live a simple life, serve others, do what you need for your health, because health is so key for Virgo, as they are so immersed in the material reality. But to give this to themselves is extremely challenging. With a Chiron in Virgo, these are people who feel that they are wounded around Virgo's traits, which is practicality, simplicity, and detail orientation. These may be people who simply put desensitize themselves or feel that it's hard to connect to their senses because they feel as though they're not allowed to relax into that simplicity. They feel like they have to complexify make their life more complex. Yet again, this is the wounded healer. And so Chiron in Virgo is someone who encourages others to simplify their lives, to connect to their senses, to live a simple life, to do what takes care of them the most so that they can take care of others. There's this whole aura, I think, in the end, with a Chiron in Virgo. I really would say that the core theme with this that I would interpret is relationship with simplicity. A Chiron in Virgo, I think, above all else, is someone who encourages simplicity for others, encouraging others to simplify their lives, simplify their health, simplify their routines for the sake of more relaxation and life enjoyment. But they themselves feel that they cannot embrace this theme of simplicity. And with that, I think there are other themes that come alongside with a Chiron in Virgo. I do think simplicity is the main theme, but along with that, maybe a Chiron in Virgo, in my interpretation, would be someone who sees that to live a simple life is specifically to take care of your health, to serve others, to connect with others on a day-to-day basis. There's all these little things that create a good life. And so they feel this sense that to focus on those little things is not necessarily rewarded or valuable. And so in short, I would say a Chiron in Virgo is probably someone who feels that they have to have a lot of complexity or chaos in their life, yet they encourage others to simplify, focus on the little things, be detail-oriented, and be practical in their approach to life, even though this is something they deeply crave. So again, there's a lot of different traits to Virgo. So to interpret exactly how Chiron in Virgo will play out for you is really going to be dependent on the house it's in. So I want to go through a brief overview of what I would think it would mean to have your Chiron in Virgo and in each house. If your Chiron is in Virgo and in first house, you feel a deep sense of woundedness around your ability to appear as someone who is practical, stable, humble, and selfless. Yet you encourage other people to be seen for their simplistic, humble, selfless nature. If your Chiron is in Virgo and in second house, you feel like you need practicality, stability, and routine for your well-being, for your stability, and yet you feel that you can't embrace this. But you encourage others to treat their finances and to treat their lives with a sense of routine, for a sense of stability. You encourage practicality, you encourage practical spending, you encourage routines for the sake of well-being, but you feel this is something you cannot embrace. If your Chiron is in Virgo and in third house, you probably like to be impeccable with your word, yet you feel a sense of woundedness around this energy. You encourage other people to be simple in their conversations, to focus on the practical things in their conversations, and to be selfless in their daily network, but you feel as though you cannot be this practical and selfless person in your daily interactions. If your Chiron is in Virgo and in fourth house, you want stability, simplicity, and practicality within your home, yet you feel wounded around this topic and feel as though you can't embrace it. Yet you encourage other people to cultivate practicality and stability within their own home. If your Chiron is in Virgo and in fifth house, you're probably someone who feels that you cannot make time for your pleasures, and that to enjoy the little things, the simple little things, is wrong, and that to give to other people in simple little ways should not bring you joy. Yet you encourage other people to be practical and selfless in their day-to-day life and pursue what gives them small sense of life enjoyment in their daily life. If your Chiron is in Virgo and in sixth house, this is someone who has traditional, so to say, Virgo sixth house energy. These are going hand in hand since Virgo created the sixth house. And this is someone who probably feels a sense that they truly cannot have routine. They cannot have stability in their lives. They can't have schedules. Yet you encourage other people to have schedules, take care of their health, focus on their routines, and be selfless in their daily service or in daily work. If your Chiron is in Virgo and in seventh house, you crave stability in your relationships, and yet you feel this is something you're unworthy of. Yet you encourage other people to focus on practicality, selflessness, and stability in their relationships. If your Chiron is in Virgo and in eighth house, you feel that the best way to receive, to be close to someone, and to connect is through being selfless. This is really the love language of acts of service, and yet you feel this is something you can't embrace. You encourage other people to give to others and to focus on being selfless to their partner, but you feel as though this is something you can't embrace. That's my interpretation, at least, of that. There's a lot of different aspects of the eighth house. If your Chiron is in Virgo and in 9th house, you are someone who feels a deep sense of woundedness, that you cannot have stability in your personal beliefs. This is maybe someone who is called to have more structured religious beliefs or personal ideologies, or in another broad interpretation, to travel in stable ways. But you feel as though this is something you can't embrace. Yet you encourage other people to cultivate stability and practicality in their personal beliefs. If your Chiron is in Virgo and in 10th house, you are someone who feels a sense that you cannot be seen for your humility, being humble or practical or selfless in your work. You feel as though you cannot be recognized for the work you do as a selfless person. Yet you go around telling everyone else, encouraging them to be seen for how selfless and practical they are, how detail-oriented they are in the work that they do. If your Chiron is in Virgo in an 11th house, you are the selfless friend in your group at your core, yet you feel this is something you cannot embrace or be seen for. It's a wound for you. So you encourage other people to be seen for how selfless they are to their community and how important it is that they are so giving. You really bring attention to the selfless sides of others and the detail-oriented sides of others and the practical help they provide for the world, yet you feel as though you cannot recognize these qualities in yourself. And so you are, so to say, purposeless in a way. And finally, if your Chiron is in Virgo and in 12th house, you probably at your core have a innate desire or talent for introspection in practical ways, doing inner work and providing yourself with a practical space to do introspective work, so to say, the kind who says, I meditate every day. But you feel as though this is something you cannot embrace because there's a wound around this. Yet you encourage others to practically and deeply go into their unconscious mind, do their inner work. So that's just a brief interpretation of all the Chiron and Virgos through all the houses. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to do a deeper dive video into any of these specific placements. But now with all that being said, that long interpretation, what do you do with this information now that you have a general grasp of what it means to have your Chiron in Virgo? I want to take the last few minutes of this video to provide some practical tips for applying this knowledge. It's been a long morning, guys. Clearly, I keep slurring my words. But per usual, for all of my Chiron videos, I really recommend a 3-step process as far as based off of what I've done with clients, what has helped clients the most, and what has helped me the most with healing my chironic wounds and embracing its power to be a healer and heal yourself. First and foremost is becoming aware of the wounds. Identify the moments in childhood, in now. What are the things that trigger your chironic wound? When do you feel like you are wounded around being selfless? Whether that is feeling I'm unworthy of being selfless or I'm unworthy of being recognized for my selflessness. When do you feel wounded about having stability in your life? Were there times in childhood where you felt like you couldn't have stability? Who are the people who seem to live very routine-oriented lives? Does this trigger you because you feel like you can't have that? Look back to the segment on Chiron and Virgo. When do those traits and wounds come up for you? Identifying where the wounds are, when they come up, what triggers them, is the first step to healing our Chiron. And understanding the house that your Chiron and Virgo is in can help you narrow down this process. For example, if it's in your 7th house, really pay attention to your one-on-one interactions. When does this energy come into play? If it's in your 10th house, pay attention to your career. Focus in when you're at your job. When does this wound come up for you? So the house can help you identify and narrow down this process. Then secondly, the second thing I recommend for healing your chironic wound is really coming back to the fact that it's the wounded healer. Sometimes by healing others, we find a way to heal ourselves better rather than focusing on our own wound. So observe in the world around you. How do you see these Virgo wounds show up for others, and how do you go about healing them? Because naturally, with this being Chiron the wounded healer, you're already healing these qualities in people to some degree, whether that is giving them something that helps them encourage Virgo qualities in their life, or if that is more so encouragement, words of encouragement, saying you let yourself relax, have that routine, be selfless. You're so valued for your humble nature. You're so valued for your detail orientation. How are you healing these wounds in others? Observe that so that you can better understand maybe how you can heal this in yourself and the value it brings to heal these wounds. Because we can't really heal our chironic wound unless we see truly the value in healing it. And finally, the last step I recommend for healing your chironic wound is to take action. given that this is in Virgo, regardless of the house that your Chiron is in Virgo, there is a theme for you of embracing, honoring, and accepting your desire or need for routine, stability, and your gift of detail orientation. You are highly attuned in some way, or want to be highly attuned in some way, to your physical reality. So how can you embrace simplicity and enjoyment of your physical reality? Those are the three major tips I would give as a starting point for healing your chironic wound. It's going to be dependent kind of on what house it's in once again. So take the house into account and come up with your own interpretation if mine did not suffice. So let me know in the comments below, did this video help you understand the general concept of what it means to have your Chiron in Virgo? What house is your Chiron in Virgo in? Did my interpretation resonate for you? How are you healing this chironic wound? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and stay tuned for more videos breaking down the stars and more. If you have any more questions, if you want to dive deeper into your Chiron and the rest of your chart, book a reading down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sincerely hope you enjoyed. Once again, my name is Isabel, and from my heart to yours, namaste.